Have you ever held a life so small, so fragile in your hands that you were almost afraid to breathe? That's where this story begins. It's a story about two tiny souls named Coco and Marshmallow. My name is Laura Malone, and I'm a director with an incredible rescue called Mini Cat Town. My home? Well, it's a revolving door of tiny paws and loud purrs. It's a place for new beginnings. And for Coco and Marshmallow, it was the only world they knew for a little while. When they first arrived, they were just impossibly small. Coco, with her beautiful marbled coat like a splash of coffee in cream, and Marshmallow, Marshmallow was just a puff of pure white fluff. Seriously, you'd look at her and the only thing that came to mind was fluffy little snow bear. I remember just watching her, this tiny, perfect creature, and letting out a little squee, because there's no other sound for that level of cute. In those first days, my life revolved around them. Warmth, formula, gentle cleaning, making sure these two little sparks of life had a fighting chance. And then the magic starts to happen. You see these little wobbly potatoes transform. I'll never forget watching Marshmallow start to practice walking. She had this fierce determination in her tiny body. She'd get her legs under her, take a few shaky steps, tumble over, and get right back up again. She would manage to wander surprisingly far for someone who was just learning how to use their own feet. Each little journey across the blanket was a huge victory, a sign that she was growing stronger, that the world was opening up for her and her sister. As they got a little bigger, their personalities just exploded. And let me tell you, a huge part of a kitten's personality is play fighting. From the outside, you might just see a jumble of fur and tiny flailing paws. The caption for their life could have been, "Kittens fighting all day." But when you're there, you see it for what it is. It's not a real fight, it's a conversation. It's how they learn boundaries, how they practice their hunting skills, and most importantly, how they bond. Coco would pounce, Marshmallow would roll, and they'd just tussle and wrestle, two little balls of energy learning how to be cats together. They developed their own little strategies too. It was hilarious to watch. I remember one time, Coco was trying so hard to be a sneaky little ninja. She hid behind a pillow, her little body tense, just waiting for the perfect moment to sneak attack her sister. You could see her plotting. And then Marshmallow just casually trotted by, completely oblivious. And in that moment, it was like Coco's brain just short-circuited. She forgot her entire mission. She just poked her head out and stared like, wait, what was I doing again? It was the most adorable, boring ambush I've ever seen. As their confidence grew, so did their ferociousness. And I use that term very loosely. You'd see one of them go into full, vicious attack cat mode. The pupils would get huge, the little butt would do that pre-pounce wiggle, and then, bam, a fearsome attack on a dust bunny or my unsuspecting big toe. These were the moments I lived for. These kitten attacks, as we called them, were a sign they felt safe, happy, and bold enough to take on the world, one fluffy toy at a time. Our days fell into a rhythm. A big part of that rhythm was the nightly wrestling match. Right before they'd curl up to go to sleep, they had to have one last tumble. It was like their way of burning off that last bit of kitten energy before crashing. And then there were the less fun parts of the routine, like brushing. You know, it's always the ones who need it the most, the super fluffy ones like Marshmallow, that seem to hate it the most. She would squirm and protest, and I'd just have to be patient, telling her it was for her own good, trying to get the tangles out of that beautiful wild fur. It's those little challenges that make fostering so real. And then they hit that perfect stage of kittenhood, the wild and crazy stage. They weren't tiny, fragile babies anymore. They were a tornado of two. They'd race up and down the hallway, leap onto furniture they weren't supposed to be on, and get into everything. My constant refrain became, attack the toy, not each other. Attack the wand, not my ankles. Their energy was boundless, a sign of just how healthy and happy they had become. They were ready. You can just feel it when they're ready for the next step. And this is the part of the story that makes every single early morning, every worry, every bit of cleanup completely worth it. This is the goal. A wonderful family came to meet them. They saw what I saw, not just two cute kittens, but a bonded pair. Two sisters who relied on each other, who played together, who slept curled up together. And they decided they couldn't possibly separate them. Coco and Marshmallow, they were adopted, together. They went home to their forever family to start the rest of their lives safe and loved. Letting go is the hardest and best part of being a foster. Your house gets quiet, and your heart feels both empty and completely full at the same time. You miss the chaos, but you feel this incredible peace knowing you did your job. You were a bridge. You took these fragile beings from a dangerous beginning and guided them to their happy ending. The journey of Coco and Marshmallow is over for me, but it's just beginning for them. And somewhere out there, another little soul is waiting for their bridge. And that's a story I'll always, always be ready to be a part of.